Hi, everybody. I'm very excited to be here at BazelCon once again. I've got a lot to talk about, so I'm going to dive right in. Aspect is here to make Bazel better for you, and the first way we do that is with workflows. So this is a talk in two parts. Workflows comes out of this original Bazel blog post from when 1.0 was released, and it says users have reported 3x test time reductions and 10x faster build speeds after switching to Bazel. And the key words to look at here is users have reported. So the Bazel team was not promising you these things. And in our experience, we want to know who these users actually are. Like, is anybody getting this performance? Yes. Here's Max. I don't know if he's in the room right now at BazelCon last year, and reported a pretty fantastic result. The year before that, we heard from Tencent. The year before that, every year at BazelCon, there are talks about how some company has managed to get some of these benefits. And what we saw as Aspect went to over 40 companies now to help them adopt Bazel is that most of them were not getting those benefits out of the box. So, I mean, obviously all of you are using Bazel. How many of you had the sort of performance improvements that were promised when you first set it up? Okay. That's more than I expect. Okay, maybe less, about 10 hands maybe. What we saw, so this is at VideoAmp. Here's a commit where somebody added a single line to a markdown file. So this ought to be a very fast rebuild, and it took 4 minutes, which was totally not acceptable. Here's another customer here. This is the 99th percentile slow case, which is another one we look at. This is the pathological case where most of the actions really are cache misses. Unfortunately, the number is exactly in between these two screens here, but it took, I think this is a 21-minute build to rebuild everything. So this was supposed to be a highly cached build. So why was this one so slow? And of course, the answer to this is subtle. So for a number of companies, we helped them develop a CI solution from scratch. And there was a lot of work to do. So you can read it here in this blog post. What are some of those steps? And I'm sure some of your companies have already gone through the work of building a custom CI solution that makes Bazel super fast. The first thing that you find that you have to do, of course, is to avoid having ephemeral runners, because Bazel is fast when it has a local cache. Most CI systems are not based on this. They are based on the assumption that the build tool is incorrect and stale build results is the main problem that you have. And so they always start up a pool of workers. Each worker starts up, does one build, and terminates. And if you just follow this instructions from your CI system, you'll probably end up with a build like that that's very slow. Of course, Bazel is meant to be correct, and so it is okay to reuse runners. And so you want to do the opposite. You want to host warm workers talking to a remote cache so that they are able to share intermediate artifacts. And so is that it? Is that the end of the talk? No, I still have a few minutes left. So let me tell you, no, that's not the end. That will still be a slow build. The reason is that there's a long list of de-optimizations that occur on CI. Don't have time to go to talk through each of these, but essentially, in the analysis phase, Bazel is building the dependency graph. That needs to be cached in the JVM, and so restarting the JVM or discarding that cache will slow you down. Having a low cache hit rate, there's already been talks at BazelCon and yesterday's community day about how to avoid doing too much execution because you're not getting the cache hits that you should have. There are mistakes in how you host an individual machine that will make Bazel slow, and then there's also mistakes in how you host a cluster of machines because, of course, you want your builds to be elastic and scale in and scale out. So you have slow 99th percentile builds where a new machine had to boot up for that build. Remote execution, of course, is a great solution to a certain set of problems. We think it's the performance optimization of last resort, and there's a few reasons for that. One is that it doesn't help with most of the problems I just described. Those are problems that happen during the loading and analysis phase. It's not enough to just send all of your actions off to be remotely executed. It's fairly broken in the sense that you will have to go through some work to make sure that the rule sets you're using are compatible, especially if the host and execution platforms are different. And many people's builds are not hermetic enough to run on remote execution at the beginning. So there's some on-ramp cost. And finally, it can be expensive because if you're using remote execution just to paper over the problems that you have hosting Bazel itself, then you're throwing more machines at it. And in some cases, there are rule sets that will make this problem even worse because things like rules Docker accidentally had really huge inputs, and those, if you aren't very, very careful with either build without the bytes or keeping action execution local when the inputs are local, then those things will be sent over the network. So, of course, this being the product talk, We have a solution for this. We've deployed this at 15 companies now. It's called Aspect Workflows. And the idea is that it runs on your cloud and on your CI. We're not asking you to migrate anything. It is co-managed. We carry a pager, and we don't make money if your builds are slower. So that's good. We want to make your builds faster instead. We offer a 1-month trial, and this is generally the point where we're able to prove to you that not only does it make your builds faster, but it actually pays for itself. So we always help our customers to calculate the savings that they're getting on their cloud machines at the end of this trial, and don't expect them to proceed unless we're able to save the money overall. So let me just revisit some of those slides from earlier. So when we looked at this markdown change, this sort of no-op build became 2 minutes faster here. If you look at our documentation site, you'll see on the homepage, we had a 5-second rebuild, and so one of our customers said, "Holy moly," which is a really nice, concise testimonial that we were able to present on that page. Going back to our 99th percentile build, this one became about 2x faster, down to 11 minutes. And sort of putting it all together, we did a comprehensive case study at Coda. Originally, they were spending about 10 minutes average and sometimes over 30 minutes on their 99th percentile builds. And the cost was the equivalent of 2 software engineers that they could have hired if they were able to reduce the cost of running on CI. So their compute costs were 2 SWE equivalent. So the solution, we did our 1-month trial. We proved to them that it had good stability, uptime, the developers were able to transition. And the results we got, not making it up, are exactly the ones from the Bazel 1.0 blog post. So we went from 11 minutes to 1 minute, as you were promised, 10x speed up. We went from we had a 2 to 3x speed up of their typical builds and tests. What was not mentioned in the Bazel 1.0 blog post, they reduced their compute spend 67%, even though they were adding more and more targets to their Bazel build, and so increasing usage during that period. And they said we went from having significant limits in CI and tools to where the limits are now just in our code. So the infrastructure layer is not their problem anymore. Okay, I have a few minutes left, and so I want to tell you about the other half of what Aspect does, which is rule sets. I went and checked on the Bazel Central Registry, ran some quick JQ. We have published 1/3 of the releases that are on the Bazel Central Registry. We are very serious about supporting all of you through our open source efforts. We maintain our rule sets to a very high standard. We believe in high quality SEMVer, so these are 1.0 means it. We have really good documentation. We put a lot of effort into how we do releases to make things fast. We have over 20 rule sets now, so this is the picture as of before BazelCon. The announcements I have for this year, Rules TS, the TypeScript support, has added a TS proto library. You can watch Matt's talk at the end of the day tomorrow here about Rules Py, which is a layer on top of Rules Python. You can watch Derek's talk at the end of tomorrow about our Bazel lib repo, which is a foundation layer. We just added a new tar rule based on BSD tar. We have a partnership with ChainGuard, which makes super secure base images, and so Rules AppCo is a way to build these on Alpine. And then Rules AWS and Rules Lint are over there in the experimental corner. I just want to point out Rules Lint in particular is pretty exciting because when we pair it with workflows, we're able to put the lint results along with the suggested fixes in the next release. Will show up in your code review. Doesn't require changes to rule sets or to build files to be able to lint them. And why am I saying Bazel lint? Is that a lie? That's not actually a lie. We have our own CLI, and so we can actually add the lint command to Bazel through either a plugin or building it in. Our CLI also has more pre-compiled version of Gazelle, so you don't have to build Gazelle yourself in your repo. We're adding more languages there. We have a docs command to pop things open in your browser. We have an init command to make a new workspace. We have help. Bazel also has help, but ours is helpful. I know. I don't mean to dig on the Bazel team. I appreciate all of their effort very much. I appreciate all of you for coming to BazelCon and listening. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Alex.